Hey everyone, today's Real Talk is going to be all about dating in your late teens. So in my most recent Q&A, I talked about getting into my first relationship and having my first kiss at 19, which was last year, like middle of last year. I'm 20 now. But so I basically had a request to do this video. So Morgan O commented and she said, "Can you make a video about your first kiss and relationship and everything happening when you're 19? I'm in the same boat, kinda. I'm 18 and it still hasn't happened. Thanks." And I said, yeah, of course. I always listen to your requests. So I kind of just wanted to go over my experience and a few things that I wanted to talk about, a little bit of advice. So starting off with my experience all throughout middle and high school. I say middle school because I know some people date during middle school, which is like really scary because I think for any of us who are around my age, like you think of middle school and you're like, oh my gosh, just burn it from my mind. I never want to remember that. And like the fact that two people can be attracted to each other in middle school when you're like really scary, like in every way. I don't know how that can happen, but oh well. So all throughout middle and high school, I was really focused on school, and I'm not going to say I wasn't focused on boys. It's not that I told myself, no, you're not going to date. It was just that I really wanted to have a relationship with a certain type of person, and I wanted it to be more of a mature relationship. I am more mature, I think, than a lot of people my age, especially in high school I was. So trying to find a high school boy that matched my mature level and what I wanted was not happening for me. And, you know, I did have crushes on guys and all of that, and there were maybe a few guys who I would have gone out with if they would have liked me, but it's like, do I regret not going out with them? Not really. No, there's no about it. It's no, not at all. It's nothing that I'm even like, dang, I wish no. So it is weird though, you know, going through high school and seeing other people date and couples, you know, in relationships for years, all of that stuff, and you haven't experienced that, and especially going into college and, you know, first, second year, whenever you're going into, like, whatever age it is that, you know, you still haven't experienced these things or whatever it is, it feels like you're almost missing out, or you kind of put this pressure on yourself, like, why hasn't this happened yet? I feel like it should have, other people have, why am I not dating yet? Why haven't I had my first kiss? Like, you start to kind of, like, pick yourself apart, like, okay, is it me? Am I this, and this? So it can be a little bit confusing, and there definitely is some pressure there. And I think, I mean, obviously there is pressure because I'm making a whole video about this. You know, like if it wasn't a big deal and it was normal for people to not date until they were 18, 19, 20 years old, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. So obviously there is pressure from all over, and I think something that you really need to know that'll kind of ease your mind is that there are a lot more people in your situation than you would expect. Believe me. I know it seems like you're the only one, like it's so strange, but for me, in high school, all of my friends were in the same boat as me. I didn't have a single friend who was in a relationship, who was dating, who had a serious boyfriend, none of that. So for me, that made it a little bit, a lot easier because I wasn't like the single friend in a group of like coupled up girls. So that was a different experience. I know some people are like the single friend and all of their friends have girlfriends or boyfriends, so that is a little bit more challenging, but I think you really just need to know that there are a lot of people. I mean, you can look through all sorts of different videos and comments in videos where people are talking about dating and they're talking about, I'm in my 20s, midway through their 20s, early 20s, still haven't dated, nothing like that. So if you're 16, 17 worrying about this, you have nothing to worry about. Believe me, it'll happen. And there's no right time to start dating. If you happen to find someone early in high school, then awesome for you. But if not, you don't miss out on anything. There's nothing that you're not experiencing, I guess. Like, it's not like if you don't date in high school that you're missing out on a certain experience because, dating when you're 20 versus dating when you're 16, I mean, they're different. They're different. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you're still like starting out at the same place. So I don't know if you're following. Like, it's like I don't know how to exactly say it, but in terms of the differences, I've always thought that high school relationships are a little because it's not a super realistic environment. So by dating when you're older, I think it puts you in a more real life relationship with like real problems, real concerns, real issues. And obviously, there are certain things that can happen in high school that are serious, family things or health things or stuff like that. But if we're just talking about like the stresses that come from high school, just within high school, they don't even compare to the stress or the issues that you have to deal with just in college and outside of college. So it seems weird because when you're in high school, you can have a really carefree relationship, whatever. But once you get into college, it gets serious really quick. So I think, when you wait and you are more mature and you're more mentally prepared to deal with things, more serious things like that, I think it is beneficial in a way. You can handle situations better and you just have a better sense of yourself. Now, as for concerns and things like that within a relationship, I definitely would say that when I started dating my boyfriend, I was a little nervous and I felt mentally unprepared in a lot of different ways. Because I didn't have any experience dating or with a boyfriend, I didn't know, timing or when should I be feeling this? Should I be feeling this at all? What should I be saying? What should I be doing? How should I be acting? How should they be acting towards me? Like, what sort of behavior is acceptable? What's not? And it can be a little bit confusing, but you really learn quickly. I mean, everyone has to start at the bottom, with no experience. So you learn, and I feel like it's a lot easier emotionally if you're older because you're not in that like teen, really high emotion craziness. So it makes it easier for you to like think clearly about certain things. But I will say that the first time my boyfriend asked me if I had a boyfriend before or like, oh, have you dated, all that stuff, when I had to tell him that I hadn't, it was a little bit awkward. I felt really embarrassed, like he would have judged me or thought of me like, that's a little strange, but he didn't. I mean, he was probably almost equally as embarrassed, like asking because he could see that I was embarrassed or felt awkward about it. But I think if you're with a good person, they're not going to make a huge deal out of it. And they're going to feel two ways. This is how my relationship went, at least. On one hand, they're going to feel pressure to be a good example of like what a boyfriend should be and meet your expectations. Because obviously, if you haven't dated anyone yet, you have all of these kind of thoughts brewing in your mind, like, oh, okay, a relationship's going to be like this, a boyfriend's going to be like this, he's going to do this, treat me like this, say stuff like this. And so they're going to want to meet those expectations, and they're going to want to be a good first boyfriend for you or first girlfriend. So they're going to put pressure on themselves in that way, but also they'll probably like that you haven't been with anyone else before. They're going to like that, like, oh, I'm your first boyfriend, I'm your first girlfriend, because it's special. And I think that'll make them happy. So you kind of have to think of those things. They're gonna feel different ways about it too. So you're both kind of thinking of it in a different way, which I think helps you kind of release those fears or anxieties, because they also have separate worries. So I think you should also realize that once you get into a good relationship, which will happen, and you shouldn't worry or stress about it, but once it does happen, you're gonna totally forget about all of your worries in the past. I don't think any person who's happily in a relationship ever thinks, man, I wish I had started dating 3 years ago instead of now. Because it's like, why? I'm happily in a relationship now. Why would I want anything different? And if anything, if you'd started dating back then, you might not be with the amazing person that you are with now. So I think that kind of puts it into perspective. And yeah, if you're 16 and you, like, obviously you don't know the future, but say you're 16 watching this, you don't start dating until you're 19, yeah, for those few years, you're probably going to be like, okay, when is this going to happen? When? But once you do hit that, dating age, you're going to be like, okay, this is pretty awesome. Like, it was worth the wait. So I think that, yeah, it may be a little bit strange. You may feel like you're missing out on something, but I promise you, you're not. Once you get into an amazing relationship, no matter what age it is, you'll be thankful and happy, and it'll be exciting and just amazing and incredible. So I definitely just would suggest that you just really focus on yourself, because once you do that, someone will come into your life, and someone that you connect with. And I think you should try to find someone that you do connect with, and not just someone that you're just dating just to date, if that makes sense. So I hope this video was useful in some way. I know it was probably a little bit all over the place. Honestly, I did kind of struggle with this one. It felt kind of just strange. Like, I don't know. It is a difficult topic to talk about. So yeah, but I hope you pulled something from this, something beneficial from this anyway. Tell me your experiences in the comments down below. If you have any other questions or concerns, please let me know. I would be happy to talk to you individually, or make another video if I get a certain amount of questions, similar questions. So yeah, I hope you all are having a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, everyone.